Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for this introduction. I have no conflicts of interest and nothing to disclose. So imagine this. You have a grandmother or a mother who recently has suffered from a stroke. And her treating physician suggests that the cause of this stroke could be atrial fibrillation. She has recovered really well, and her physician also told her that there are smart devices capable of detecting atrial fibrillation. Now, you as a person being raised on studies, you decide to see what literature has to offer on this subject. Okay, so you do some research and you find out that accuracy varies between the devices available capable of detecting atrial fibrillation. Most of the studies have been conducted in a population that was fairly young and had no underlying heart disease, so probably not someone like your relative. And there have been no comparison of studies within the same patient cohort. Further, you find out that the devices, they report two findings. They either tell you the single lead EKG that you did with them is of sinus rhythm or of atrial fibrillation. Now, if they cannot decide between either one of those, they give you an inconclusive result. And this might be troublesome for someone like your grandmother. Okay, so we set out to assess the diagnostic accuracy of different devices in detecting atrial fibrillation. We assessed 5 devices: the Apple Watch, the Fitbit Sense, the Cardio Mobile, Samsung Galaxy Watch, and the Widdings Scan Watch. All these devices have a FDA clearance. What did we do in our study? We included patients presenting to the cardiology department of the University Hospital in Basel, and each of those patients received a 12-lead EKG acting as gold standard, followed by 5 consecutive single-lead EKGs from the devices you just have seen. So every patient had 6 EKGs in total. Then all the tracings were given to cardiologists for blind interpretation. And in addition to that, we wanted to see what patients liked the most, which device they preferred. So we did a small survey. Now, for our analysis, we took the diagnosis from the devices. They have an automated algorithm giving you the interpretation, and compared this to the gold standard, the 12-lead EKG. Now, if you remember, we have the issue about the inconclusive tracings mentioned in the beginning. So in order to tackle this, we did a so-called intention to diagnose analysis. This is something where you reallocate inconclusive results to either false negative or false positive. So if a patient had atrial fibrillation in the 12-lead EKG being in the gold standard as positive and had an inconclusive result in one of the single-lead EKG tracings, we reallocated him to false negative and vice versa. How did the devices perform? We included 211 patients. The mean age was 67, and we had about 30% females. So the devices performed pretty similar, as you can see here. And if we reallocated the tracings labeled inconclusive, we got slightly different results. So the Apple and the Samsung performed the same. This is why they are on top of each other, and the other ones as shown here. Okay, as of the inconclusive tracings, there were differences between devices. We had between 16 and 26 of all tracings done by the device being inconclusive. Where does that lead us? From the devices, we didn't see a difference in accuracy that varied too much, was not significant. We came to a 90 to 95% accuracy for all devices. The intention to diagnose analysis reduced this severely, as you have seen in the graph, thus giving a more realistic picture of what the capabilities of this technology are as of today. And if we reviewed the tracings manually, we could reduce the number of inconclusive tracings significantly, down to 1% for every device analyzed. So what can we take from this study for our everyday practice or for our relatives, such as your grandmother or mother? We have a high diagnostic accuracy in all devices. The differences in inconclusive vary substantially. And manual review should be mandatory and is strongly suggested for physicians working with this technology. Now, we need to be aware of pitfalls. Atrial flutter, premature ventricular contractions are really difficult to be detected in a single lead EKG and could be a major issue if not tackled accordingly. And we should include patient preference to the decision, because in this setting, in this scenario, your grandmother, she chose an Apple Watch. Why did she choose this device? Like many of our patients that we asked, she named 2 reasons. First, she liked the design. She just liked to look at the watch. And second, she felt comfortable with the brand. She already had an iPhone or a Mac PC, whatever, and she could work with that. So this is what was most important to all the patients in our cohort. Now, if you're not having an Apple Watch right now, or if you need one for your grandmother, we offer you the chance to win one. If you want to see how difficult or how easy it is to assess atrial fibrillation in a single lead EKG, I invite you to scan this QR code and participate in our quiz. This will be for an additional study, and with some luck, you might just be having an Apple Watch 7 soon. Thank you very much, and I'll be really glad to take questions.
Congratulations, Diego. You're right on time. I would start with one question, then I will open up to the audience. There is no doubt that this smart device can detect atrial fibrillation, but I have a doubt. How much AF do you need to detect to consider it clinically meaningful? Because one study has failed to reduce events with patients with atrial fibrillation detected with the smart device. So do you have a minimal duration? Some argue 6 minutes, some say that the more important is the burden of AF throughout the 24 hours. What are your thoughts about the treatment?
So thank you for this question. I think the smart device is not intended to use as a continuous monitoring device yet to see the burden, for example. I think it could reduce pretest probability. It could be of great use in paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. The patients coming to you and say, I just felt my heart. This does not necessarily have to be atrial fibrillation itself. There are many underlying heart disease in young people, such as we have many in this room today, which can only be detected by chance. And having a smart device capable of this possibility to record a heart rhythm can offer the chance of having something to prove that there was a arrhythmia or something alike. So I think it cannot replace a Holter or a loop recorder yet, but we will see where the development takes us.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the audience? Okay.
If this smartwatch issues an alarm, this could create a lot of confusion or uncertainty or worries for my grandmother or mother. So how would you create some kind of management plan? What would you suggest?
That is an excellent question. Thank you very much. There are applications which you can download in the App Store for the iPhone or Android devices, which offer the possibility to send an EKG recording recorded by one of those devices to a physician or to a medical technician, and for the compensation of a small fee, of course, they look at this tracing and they give you, in addition to what the algorithm from the device or from the phone gives you as interpretation, they give you on top of that a suggestion. Now, we do not have something in Switzerland as of right now, but with the continuous rise of this technology, it is popular, and this is more popular and expected to gain in devices sold totally. We need to have a solution for that, especially for the bigger hospital centers, which could be tackled with this surge of data. Yeah.
If this is not the case, I'm gonna